I'm Gareth Everson, and on this episode we're going to be talking about how to get leads and where to find those leads from. Lead generation is a big topic, and it can often be seen as a really expensive part of your business. But by the end of this episode, it's an introductory episode into lead generation. I want you to have clarity and be able to see that lead generation can be an investment and not just the cost. In other words, for every pound or every hour that you put into it of your own time, you're able to get a multiple of that back by way of sales revenue that comes from it. So this episode is more of an overview on lead generation, where you find those leads and how you go about turning that interest into somebody actively raising their hand and coming into your world, into your database, into your CRM. And there's more on this at solopreneur.com/EP9. Today we're going to cover three things. We're going to cover the how, the who, and the where. And we're going to take those in three separate sections, and you'll see why when we get to the end of the episode. So let's think about the how. And there are 5 steps in this process that I want you to think about. The first one is having either ads or social media posts with some sort of hook in there that captures your audience's interest. I'll cover in a moment where they are in their journey, but that will be the start point to the journey in there. Either an ad or a social post with some sort of hook that captures their interest. That will then need to take them through to somewhere on your website that they can do something or see something or get some further learning from. That might be a blog post or a video post on your website that takes them from that point that they're at on 1 or 2 steps in their understanding or their awareness of this as a problem. From that blog article, you'll then have little links on there or boxes on there, call to actions that point them to a landing page. That landing page is purely and simply about capturing them as a lead and offering them something in return for them becoming a lead. So the 4th step on the landing page is to have a lead magnet that they can opt in to receive and learn further about that particular topic from you. That might be an ebook, it might be a simple checklist, it might be a video series that you've recorded, it might be an email series of insights and tips that they can get from that. So that the 4th step is having a lead magnet. Then your 5th step, and this is the most important part of that journey where we want to take them to, is then having our email follow-up sequence for them that we can then, once we've captured them as a lead, we can start to nurture that lead and educate that lead through our relationship with them in their inbox. So 5 steps as part of the process of how we go about capturing that lead into our CRM. Okay, so we talked about the how. Now we need to think about the who. So the how structure stays the same. There are those 5 steps, or perhaps 4 steps if you don't have the blog article before they go through to the landing page. When we're thinking about the who, we've got to think about what we talked about on episode 3, which was the 3 stages of your funnel. Are they at the top of the funnel? Are they in the middle of the funnel? Or are they at the bottom of the funnel? And just as a quick recap on that, bottom of funnel generally refers to somebody who is in buying mode. They've got the budget to solve the problem that they have, and they're ready to make a decision on how they address that problem in their lives or in their business. So that's bottom of funnel. Middle of funnel is when they're slightly less clear on it, but doing their research around options that are out there. So they're looking at comparisons, they're looking at reviews, they're looking at various different insights online around how they can better make that decision. What could go wrong? What do they need to look out for? What are the best tips in terms of making that decision? So are they at the middle of funnel in their decision cycle? And thinking about content in that space is something that's important as well. Top of funnel, they are less clear on what their problem is, but they've got some sort of symptoms of an issue. And I use the example in previous episodes around, say, if it's a physio and you're dealing with people with back pain, or if you're a business coach and you're starting to nudge people around some of the challenges that they might face in their business, or if you are perhaps a garden designer helping people to think about how their garden could be better this year than it was last year. So that's top of funnel. It's an awareness stage. Why do I talk about those three different parts of the funnel? Well, how you go about structuring your how steps, the way you're targeting them, what you're doing with those different steps, and how you're creating that messaging around those hooks and that blog post and that landing page and that lead magnet will depend on where somebody is at in that buying funnel. Top of funnel, middle of funnel, or bottom of funnel. So one of the key differentiators of where people are at in that funnel is how aware they are of how they want to move forward. So top of funnel would describe them as perhaps an unqualified lead. They lack awareness, they lack understanding of what their problem is and how they can solve that problem. However, by contrast, there are a lot of these people that are out there. So in terms of being able to capture leads and interest at this particular stage, it's possibly going to cost you less in terms of bringing them into your world and being able to educate them there. Middle of funnel probably costs slightly more because you're competing against other content that exists online that's attracting those people in. So your ads to attract people that are more middle of funnel are likely to cost slightly more, although not as much as those people that are using keywords and using language that speaks to solving that problem immediately. So there's an awareness piece. So how much understanding do they have at those different stages of where they're at? The less understanding that they have, the more you're going to have to do, and that's why they're higher up in the funnel. So your email nurturing and your lead magnets will need to take them from that position of limited understanding through to great understanding. So there's more work in the back end that you need to do there. By contrast to if they're lower down the funnel and more buying ready, you'll probably pay more for that lead if you're doing advertising online. However, they're closer to being able to make a decision to move forward. They've already clarified in their own mind that they want to do something, and they've probably worked out the budget that they need to do in order to solve that problem. So really differentiating characteristics of people depending on where they're at in that funnel. One of the factors in how you're likely to find leads and at what stage they're at in their funnel before they find you could come down to the nature of your business. Let me give you an example. So if your business is carpet cleaning or floor cleaning, for example, it's really unlikely that people would spend a great deal of time researching their options at the top of the funnel. If they've had a wine spillage, it's unlikely that they want to prepare themselves and research options and understand that problem in great depth before they hire somebody to solve that problem. Where you're likely to find them is further towards the bottom of the funnel, where they've had the red wine spillage on their carpet, they know that they need to solve it quickly, and they want to do it sooner rather than later. They're more likely to be at the bottom of funnel rather than at the top of funnel. By contrast, and I'll use the example again that I mentioned earlier about the business coach, a business coach, in terms of attracting leads into their business, probably need to poke some buttons with business owners to help them to recognize that they might have specific problems in their business. So they're more likely to be engaging at the top of the funnel in order to start to create awareness of problems that their target audience has. So as you started this episode, you were probably thinking, right, okay, where am I going to find those leads? Am I going to find them on Google, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram? Just give me an answer around that. It's important to think about those two first criteria before we get into the where. Because if you omit to think about the how and the who, then it becomes really difficult to pinpoint where you should be doing that advertising. So let me explain what I mean by that. Somebody who has that bleeding neck problem, the wine stain on the carpet, or the issue with their plumbing, or the full awareness that they need to solve a particular problem that they've got right now, are probably going to Google and searching for answers for that problem. Plumbers in my area, carpet cleaners in whatever your town name is. Google is probably more likely to be a place where you can find those leads through Google Ads if they're at the bottom of the funnel. By contrast, if we think about top of funnel and that lack of awareness, lack of understanding, lack of education around how they might address the problems that they've got, that right now they're probably only seeing them as symptoms of a bigger problem. And if we use the business coaching analogy, it could be somebody that's thinking, I'm not quite getting the results that I'd like to be able to get, or I'm not quite putting in place the steps that I need to put in place in order to achieve the business objectives that I have. Those people who have thoughts at the back of their mind are more likely to be found or attracted to your message from places like social media, Facebook posts, Instagram posts if it's a more visual or kind of audio type experience that they might be having, or LinkedIn. Think of how you interact with these kind of social media platforms. It's a scrolling experience. It's not a search-based experience. You're not going on there to find, or typically not going on there to find an answer to your problems. You're there and you're interacting with it as part of your day-to-day. So posting into those kind of channels with little prompters, little nudges, little snippets around building awareness of the problems that you solve, or the problems that your target market has, and nudging them to that first little action is probably more likely to be top of funnel type activities. So think about those social media places where people are who might buy from you. Might be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest if it's very visual, YouTube if it's something that can entertain them or inspire them to take some sort of action. Middle of funnel, you've then probably got a bridge between the two of those two extremes. If somebody has already established that they've got a problem, they're aware of that, they have shifted their mindset into wanting to do something about it, then they could be in any one of those places that I've mentioned. They could be on social media, but if we nudge them to take that leap to go to a landing page that has a checklist on there, for example, or a buyer's guide or a comparison review, that might be a good place to capture them. They might also be starting to search online on Google or on Bing or Yahoo search for solutions to that problem, and comparisons and reviews and ratings and all of those kind of things that go into that process where they're at in middle of funnel when they're starting to think about options to solve that problem. So that speaks to the where people might be at. And the problem that I often encounter with clients in this space is that they're spending too much of their efforts at either one end of that funnel, and it's typically the bottom of the funnel because they want to attract people who are in buying mode, and yet by contrast they're probably pushing those buttons somewhere where somebody's not in buying mode. So they might be posting on Facebook, or they might be posting on LinkedIn with a non-buying mode type message. So think of that kind of disconnect, or think of avoiding that kind of disconnect when you think about how you go about attracting leads into your business. So by way of wrap up, you've got to think about the method that you're going to use, the how you're going to be going about attracting those leads and bringing them in to your world via landing pages, lead magnets, and then subsequently your email follow-up. You'll need to have a plan around those. Then think about what stage are these people at typically that I want to attract them at. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to cover all of the bases. You might go after one or two of those bases. First of all, perhaps some content around bottom of funnel where somebody's more ready to buy, and some other content around middle of funnel. That might be your first start points for moving forward. Your bottom of funnel might typically be book a demo or book a call or something like that, where somebody that is in buying mode, you can attract them in. Middle of funnel might be more around like buyer's guides or checklists or comparison type content that you can start with, and then people that are searching for that could either find you organically through posts like that, or you could start to run some advertising and some social posts towards that kind of content. So you don't think that you have to create every single piece of content first of all. Take it step by step, but think in logical terms around those three particular concepts: the how, the who, and the where. So the how and the who and the where is all about having the right offer at the right time to the right person at that particular stage. There's more of all of this if you head over to the website solopreneur.com/EP9. You'll be able to find resources on all of these different parts of the who, the how, and the where. And if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to ask.